and squeaks had actually helped make our getaway easier. No one drowned in the vat of cream cheese. In fact, that cream cheese was pretty tasty. If I had a bag and a cup of coffee, it would have been perfect. But there was no time to waste. We hurried out of the factory and called the police. They arrested Squeaks and his butler and threw them both in jail. The celebration of chocolate cheesecake and Perky Mouse were safe. The following day, Perky cleaned off the cream cheese from the painting, just in time for the big unveiling. Sorry. Christina Colorsnout was thrilled. How could I ever thank you two? She asked. I started to tell her she didn't need to thank us, but Hercule pushed me aside. Well, if you could put in a good word with my granny Iron Whiskers, I'd appreciate it, he mumbled. Miss Colorsnout chuckled. No problem, she squeaked. 20 minutes later, I stood among the crowd in the banquet hall of the museum. What an exciting moment! The beautifully restored celebration of chocolate cheesecake was about to be unveiled. Was about to be unveiled.
There better be no noise. Continue.
Hercule strode up to the podium with the covered painting. I am happy to announce that a pure Passionpaw's most treasured work of art has found its way home, he squeaked. Thunderous applause filled the room. I'd like to thank Mrs. Colorsnout for letting me work on such an exciting case, Hercule continued, and I also like to thank my dear friend Geronimo Stilton. Without Geronimo's encouragement and trust and steadfast loyalty, I would have never solved this mystery. The crowd began to cheer and chant, Geronimo, Geronimo! I turned beet red with embarrassment. Did you know that I'm a shy mouse at heart? A shy mouse at heart? Hercule waved me up to the stage. Then together we unveiled the painting. Ah, the crowd gasped. The celebration of the cheesecake is really breathtaking picture. Grand Gentle Mouse and his bride Glitterfur look so in love. Oh, how amazing it must feel to find the mouse of your dreams. Of course, that got me thinking about Petunia Prettypaws. She was such an amazing mouse. Too bad I have messed up our Valentine's Day date, and I wondered if she'd ever forgive me. I was still pinning over Petunia when Christina Colorsnout's cheerful voice snapped me back to the present. May I ask you a huge favor? Mr. Stilton, I was wondering if you would do me a huge favor. I was told you're a remarkable gourmand food connoisseur, Christina said. I was shocked. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love fine food as much as the next mouse. But I also love the kind of mac and cheese that comes in a box. Don't don't tell my snobby Auntie Pearl Whiskers though. She would be highly offended. Anyway, Christina must have sensed my surprise because her paw was on my shoulder. No need to be modest, Mr. Stilton. I was just chatting with a lovely mouse named Petunia Pretty Paws. Petunia Pretty Paws. She told me that you are very intelligent, very sophisticated, very talented, and very distinguished rodent. A rodent who is an expert on just about everything, she explained. I grinned. As I said, I know next to nothing but gourmet cooking about gourmet cooking. But I was absolutely thrilled that Petunia said such nice things about me. Maybe she would forgive me after all. Maybe she would agree on going on another date with me. It could be a do-over Valentine's date. And this time I was sure to I was on time. I would buy flowers, maybe an enormous box of chocolate cheesy chews. Well, I wouldn't say I'm an expert though. I do know my way around the kitchen a bit. I said, did Petunia really said those nice things about me? Of course she did, she told me. She told me you would be able to help me with my little problem. She persisted. May I ask you a huge favor? Of course, I agreed. I was so excited about a future date with Petunia. I would have agreed to anything. Christina drew a deep sigh of relief. Then she grabbed me by the paw and dragged me on stage. A horrified feeling crept over me. What was I doing up on stage? What on earth had I just agreed to do? Why had I said yes? We have a big surprise on tonight's program. Unfortunately, the judges for our annual cooking show contest have all come down with a stomach bug and will be unable to make it. She began. The crowd groaned. But there is no need to worry, she assured them. Mr. Geronimo Stilton has agreed to take their place. Mr. Stilton is not only a very intelligent, sophisticated, talented, and distinguished rodent, but he is also an expert gourmet connoisseur. The crowd went wild. Geronimo, Geronimo, they chanted again. I felt faint. It was then when I noticed a long line of chefs filling up to the stage for the cooking contest. Each one had a dish in his or her paws. I stretched my neck to see where the line of chefs ended, but it never did. It wrapped around and around the room, then went out the door. Yikes, how many dishes was I supposed to taste? Christina led me over to a long table already filled with food. Tonight, the top 100 cooks on Mouse City will compete for the title of Best Cook of the Year. And since we are also here to honor the historic masterpiece, the celebration of the chocolate cheesecake, I thought it was only fitting that we celebrate cheesecake. Yes, my dear friends, Geronimo Stilton will now taste 100 samples of chocolate cheesecake, she announced. My jaw hit the ground. I was getting ready to inhale my first piece of cheesecake. I was in shock. 100 pieces of cheesecake. Had everyone gone mad? No mouse could eat that much. Suddenly, I felt sick thinking about eating. Plus, did I mention I have a weak stomach? Here you go, Mr. Stilton. Christina squeaked. Please sit here and start tasting. She ushered me into a chair. Then she handed me an enormous pill. This will help you digest when you're finished, she whispered. Trust me, you're gonna need it. I felt like screaming. I felt like crying. I felt like jumping off the stage and hopping to the next plane to sunny Squeak Island. Oh, what? I wouldn't give up for lying on a warm sandy beach without a cheesecake in sight. Sound the trumpets, Christina Colors now shouted. Drum roll, please! I opened my mouth to protest. Actually, I know very little about cooking, I admitted. Oh, come on, she replied. There's no need to be modest, Mr. Stilton. Before I knew it, Christina stuck a forkful of cheese into my mouth, then another and another. After 10 bites, I lost my appetite. After 20 bites, I began to feel sick. After 30 bites, I started to sweat. After 40 bites, I turned green. After 50 bites, my stomach lurched. After 60 bites, my head began to spin. After 70, I fell off my chair. After 80, I reached for antacid. After 90, I let out a loud burp. After 100 bites, I was taken away on a stretcher. Happy birthday, Geronimo. Happy birthday, Geronimo. When I got home, I collapsed onto my bed. It was only 8:30, but I was dead tired. Just then, the doorbell rang. What now? I moaned. Couldn't a mouse get some peace? I dragged myself to the door, half asleep. When I opened it, I hardly believed my eyes. There were all my friends and relatives. Trapia, Benjamin, Petunia, Buzzky, Wazky, Grandfather William, and Sweet for Hercule Hoyt, and more. They all shouted together, Happy birthday, Geronimo! Even the police is there. I slapped my paw onto my forehead. Holy cheese! I've been so busy eating cheesecake, I've forgotten that today was my birthday. The crowd spilled into my living room. I wanted to crawl onto the couch. I was still dressed in my pajamas and slippers. He bought you a very special birthday cake, Jerrykins, my cousin Trap chuckled. Then he wheeled a giant cake into the room. I gulped. Do you know what kind of cake it is? You guessed it. Chocolate cheesecake. First I blew out the candles. Then everybody started chanting, take a bite, take a bite. I stared at the cheesecake feeling ill, but at that moment I noticed Petunia. Pretty pause. Happy birthday, Geronimo, she whispered. At that moment, Hercule emerged from the crowd. I told Petunia it was my fault you missed your Valentine. I told Petunia it was my fault you missed your Valentine's date with her, Hercule explained. Petunia smiled at me shyly. Suddenly, I felt I could do anything. I grabbed my fork and took a bite of cheesecake. And you know what? It tasted great. I smiled back at Petunia, and together we cut the rest of the cheesecake. I was glad Petunia had forgiven me for our disastrous Valentine's Day date. Sorry. She really is an amazing mouse. Who knows? Maybe I'll get a chance to take her on out to another date soon. After all, St. Patrick's Day is coming up, and then there's Be Kind to Your Fur Day. I know, I know these holidays aren't half as special as Valentine's Day, but a mouse has to start somewhere. Tips for organizing an exciting cheesecake party. I'm gonna just turn through these pages. If you want to pause the video and look at these, then you can. Okay, so we're done with this book. Geronimo's Valentine.